I think that music was something that was always playing in the house. I don't really remember a time that I didn't love music. Even when I was in preschool, Mum always had the likes of U2, Coldplay, Phil Collins, Talking Heads playing while she was cleaning the house, and it was just kind of always there. So I always had that desire to listen to music, but I never ever thought that I would play music. And then one day I came home from school, and this would have been when I was in about grade 1, and she said, "I have a surprise for you. Go into your bedroom." And there was my first acoustic guitar, and she said, "You're going to have your first guitar lesson." So it kind of just went from there, really. My influences were many bands and many solo artists. I think the biggest influences were people like Chris Martin from Coldplay, Bono from U2. I remember as a kid I'd watch Coldplay DVDs and I'd think, Chris Martin, he's just got such a great stage presence, and I always knew that I wanted to do that one day, and I always found him pretty inspiring. I remember when I got into around grade 9, I discovered Mumford & Sons, and I was so obsessed with their music. And the lead singer did this thing where he played guitar and he stomped a bass drum at the same time, and I just became obsessed with that. And for a long period of time they were my inspiration. I remember my first performance was when I was in year 1, and it was at the Forbes Public School Talent Quest, and I performed a Bob Dylan song. And I remember it was me and 2 of my other friends, and we each had these shirts that said ROK, and it was supposed to spell out rock, but we ended up getting on stage and standing in the wrong order. So it was a complete disaster, and we sounded awful, but it was a start. Even though my first few performances were terrible, I always knew that I liked the feeling of being on stage. And even when I was young, as terrible as it was, people did come up to me and say, that was really, really good. I can't wait to see you perform again. But the next talent quest for my school, I actually came first, and I was singing Yellow by Coldplay. And I remember the response I got was just phenomenal. And when you're a kid that age, in 2015, I went to Tamworth Country Music Festival and started busking. My friend Kent actually came along and joined me, and we played on the street together, and we were in a competition, and if you were selected to be part of the top 5, you got to perform on the main stage, and we were very, very lucky enough to get that opportunity. So we shared the stage with Lee Kernaghan, the Wolf Brothers. We got to hang backstage with some professional musicians, and as a young kid, what more could you ask for when you're passionate about music, hanging out with the best. It was extremely intimidating, but I learned a lot. After that, I continued doing school. I didn't really do much musically for about a year and a half, and then I started to really miss gigging. I got my first manager, and he was able to get me gigs all over the Central West. So I played the likes of Forbes, Parks, Dubbo, Orange, Bathurst. After that, I managed to make a bit of money so that I could leave home and study. So I moved to Sydney to go to a college called JMC Academy. And that was a really, really big move for me because, I grew up in a town of probably 10,000 people, so a really small town. And to move from that to the big smoke was massive. And I had no idea what kind of challenges I was going to face. But it was really cool to be in a music college because I got to sort of meet heaps of other people that were talented, and I got to learn so much about songwriting, the industry. So I got my diploma in songwriting, and then I figured the best way to really pursue this music career was to actually get out there and play. So I started gigging every now and again in Sydney. I started travelling back to the Central West again to do some more gigs out there. And then I managed to find myself a manager who based himself in the Blue Mountains. and he started getting me gigs in Sydney. And being a creative person is such a blessing and a curse in a lot of ways. Such a gift to be able to play an instrument, whatever that may be. Like, to have that creative gift is just such a blessing. But there's also a lot of challenges. Like, there are many times where I'll go weeks without picking up my guitar because I just feel like there's nothing there. There are many times I feel like I'm not even that good. I'm really excited. I mean, I feel very driven. I feel very passionate. I'm looking forward to getting out there and playing as many shows as possible. I believe that that's where I feel comfortable. And I look forward to releasing music, hopefully get an album out there soon. Yeah, it's going to be hard work, but I'm up for it. I think if I were to define success, I would say it is to be happy, to be strong in your character, and to know who you are. I was raised in church, and that's been a big part of my faith, is to be strong in who you are. And I think that comes to play in my music. Like, I think it is so important because when you're a musician, you're naturally an emotional person. And I think it's so important to just be happy. And be happy no matter where you're at in life. I think that if you can be happy wherever you're at in life, that is success. And if you can get to a place where no one can steal your happiness, that to me is the ultimate reward. I'm really looking forward to sharing many more things with all you guys and getting some more music out there to you soon. Look forward to seeing you at shows, and yeah, just so pumped for the future. And so I've been Cameron, and hope